Russia in shock, this one Ukraine move changed the war map forever. The world woke up to a different reality today, as the red lines of the Russia-Ukraine conflict weren't just crossed, they were obliterated in a single, surgical strike that has sent the Kremlin into a state of absolute paralysis. While the mainstream media was busy counting tanks in the Donbass, Kyiv was orchestrating a masterstroke so audacious, so technologically advanced, and so devastatingly precise that it has fundamentally re-engineered the very geometry of modern warfare. This wasn't just a drone strike on a refinery. This was a frontal assault on the central nervous system of a global superpower. For decades, the Russian heartland was considered an untouchable fortress protected by layers of the world's most advanced electronic warfare and air defense systems. But today, that myth of invincibility lay in ruins. Much like the energy infrastructure that powers the Russian war machine, the move we are talking about, the one move, was the synchronized neutralization of Russia's energy heart. This was a deep penetration operation that bypassed every defensive measure the Kremlin had in place. Drones developed in the shadows and hardened against the world's most aggressive jamming signals flew hundreds of miles through the most heavily defended airspace on Earth to strike with a precision that borders on the supernatural. They didn't hit apartment blocks or random warehouses. They hit the fractional distillation towers, the high-tech lungs of the Russian economy. If you want to understand why this changed the war map forever, you have to look past the fire and the smoke. You have to look at the logistics of collapse. In a matter of hours, Russia lost a significant percentage of its domestic refining capacity. This isn't a loss that can be fixed with a few spare parts. These towers are custom-built, multi-million-dollar industrial monuments, many of which rely on Western technology that is now under absolute sanction. Ukraine didn't just cause a fire, they created a permanent hole in the Russian military's long-term sustainability. Imagine the atmosphere inside the Kremlin, right now. The shock isn't just about the physical damage, it's about the realization that the geography of the war has expanded by 1,000 miles in every direction. For 2 years, the average citizen in Moscow or St. Petersburg could afford to ignore the conflict. It was something distant, something happening to other people in other places. But as the sirens wailed over the capital and the sky turned orange with the glow of burning oil, the social contract was shattered, the state's primary promise. The guarantee of security has been exposed as a hollow shell. This is the psychological fallout that no air defense system can stop. The war map hasn't just changed on the ground, it has changed in the minds of 140 million people who now realize that no place is safe. From a strategic perspective, this move is a masterpiece of asymmetrical warfare. By hitting the energy heart, Ukraine has forced Russia into a catastrophic dilemma. Every S-400 battery, every Panzer system, and every electronic warfare unit now has to be spread thin. Do they keep them at the front to protect their troops from becoming sitting ducks, or do they pull them back to protect the refineries that provide the fuel for those very same troops? There's no right answer. Every unit moved back to the interior is a massive hole in the frontline defenses. This is what it looks like when a nation is outplayed. Ukraine is no longer just defending its borders. They are dictating the terms of the engagement. They are forcing the world's second-largest military to play a defensive game on its own turf. But the research reveals something even more chilling for the Russian high command. The technology used in this strike, reports from the ground and satellite analysis, suggest that these drones were utilizing advanced AI-driven terminal guidance systems. They weren't relying on GPS, which can be spoofed. They were seeing their targets and making real-time adjustments to avoid obstacles. This represents a generational leap in drone warfare. The one move wasn't just about the target, it was about the demonstration of a capability that Russia simply cannot match. The electronic shield that was supposed to protect the energy heart didn't just fail, it was rendered obsolete. The global implications are staggering. The energy heart of Russia is not just a Russian asset, it's a critical node in the global economy. By striking here, Ukraine has sent a shockwave through international markets, proving that they have the power to influence global oil prices and supply chains at will. They are no longer a passive recipient of aid. They are a geopolitical actor with the reach to disrupt the status quo. This moves the conflict from a regional border dispute to a high-stakes global economic war. The map has been redrawn to include every stock exchange and every fuel pump on the planet. As we analyze the fallout, the sheer scale of the disruption becomes clear. Military logistics are built on the assumption of steady fuel supplies. Tanks, jets, and transport trucks are thirsty machines. When you hit the source, you create a ripple effect that slows down every offensive, complicates every retreat, and demoralizes every soldier who wonders if the next fuel truck will ever arrive. This is the total war of the 21st century, where the front line is a refinery and the ammunition is a silicon chip. The Kremlin's reaction has been one of frantic redirection. They are attempting to downplay the damage, but the smoke rising over the horizon tells a different story. This is a moment of truth for the Russian military leadership. Their entire strategy was predicated on the idea of a limited military operation. That concept is dead. The war has come home, and it has come home with a vengeance. The one move by Ukraine has exposed the structural fragility of a superpower that overextended its reach and forgot to protect its heart. Looking forward, this event marks the beginning of a new, much more dangerous chapter. The escalation ladder has been climbed, and we are now standing on a ledge where the old rules of engagement no longer apply. The blackout strategy is not a one-off event. It is a preview of the future. Ukraine has shown that they can and will strike the vital organs of the Russian state, whenever and wherever they choose. The shock we are seeing today is just the beginning of a long, painful realization for the Russian state. The war map will never look the same again. This is the reality of modern conflict, high tech, high stakes, and completely unpredictable. The signal coming out of Kyiv is clear. They have the vision, the technology, and the sheer audacity to challenge the very foundations of their opponent's power. And as the world watches in stunned silence, the only thing we can be sure of is that the next move will be even more consequential. The Russia-Ukraine war has entered its most intense phase, and the heart of the machine is under fire. Stay tuned as we continue to track every development in this rapidly evolving crisis. The map is shifting, the stakes are rising, and the truth is more incredible than any fiction. Make sure you're subscribed to the breaking signal so you never miss the critical analysis and deep dives into the events that are reshaping our world in real time. The story is far from over, and we will be here to break every signal as it happens. Subscribe now and join the conversation as we navigate the complexities of a world at war.